Hey guys, it's Aaron Morgan, BOWADX Brand Ambassador. I've had a couple questions about lights that I use out in the field, and specifically I had a guy ask about a light that could be used for recoveries, filming recoveries, or maybe possibly doing some like detail photos with late night recoveries and stuff like that. So I wanted to go ahead and cover this light. It's the Aputure MC. It's RGB light, app controlled, all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to go ahead and cover in this video. But I wanted to introduce this guy to you. Everything comes in this case. It's a very nice light. We're going to get right into it. Alright you guys, so starting off, what I wanted to talk about was the case itself. This is hard fabric, really sturdy. The zippers are really good. I'm going to go ahead and show you what all comes in the case. First of all, this is the diffuser itself. So to show you guys this diffuser, it's a hard rubber. I'm sure you could tear it. I'm not going to try, but it's hard, pretty stiff, pretty thick. It does a really good job. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little band in here, and it actually gets thicker right around where it's going to go through the light. So it works as a really good diffuser. I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the light itself. Okay guys, so this is the light itself. It's really small. The footprint on it is pretty tiny. Sorry, I have used it, so there's a few marks and stuff on it, but this is it itself. So again, not very big at all. I'm going to go ahead and do a size comparison. So I have the iPhone 8. So if you look at the footprint on the iPhone 8, that's what you got. Pretty small. And if you go for length, obviously you can tell the same, but that's also going to show you kind of how wide it is and how thick of a light it is. This thing is definitely small enough if you don't want to take the case or the diffuser and you just want to take this with you. This thing is definitely small enough to be able to just throw in one of your pockets, and you're going to have it really handy. So we'll go back to the A-cam. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. Okay you guys, so we've gone over the size of it. We've gone over kind of what it compares to next to like an iPhone or something like that. The next thing I want to go over is kind of some of the features that it has. Obviously this is going to have its daylight or tungsten balance, so you have it anywhere from 6500 to 3200 Kelvin, 65 being super white, and then 3200 being pretty warm. That's probably about standard for what like most house light bulbs are. Okay, so that's going to be your tungsten to daylight balancing. Another thing it has effects. It's completely RGB. It is app controlled, and I'll show you a couple other things as we get going on, but those are the biggest things I want. And another thing that it also has, it has a lot of effects. So I've actually been using an effect this whole video as a campfire. So that is actually just this light going off. I'm going to go more in depth into what different effects it has when we could do a top-down view again, but I did want to go over that, show you guys kind of in use how you could use it, and maybe you can find a good, unique, creative way to use a light like this in one of your videos to just help make your video pop just a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to overhead view, and we're going to go ahead and go through the app function and then just some of the other effects that you can do and what all you can control from that. Alright guys, so we are looking at my phone right now. I'm going to go over the app and different app functions. So if you want to run this and run it through your phone, like I said, we're going to go through over that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my light, and then I'm going to go to the app, and it's going to have scenes. So I'm going to go to scene, click on it, +1, and automatically it's going to go ahead and find your light. It's going to give you the option to click on it. So I'm going to click, hit setup. That is going to run its setup time, 100%, and then right here in the app, I'm at 1% right now. You can go in here and you can tap individually to make it go 3, 4, 5 as 1. So you can do that right here without even going into anything else on the app. From there, you can go ahead and tap in the app itself, and again, you can control intensity, whether you wanted to go extremely high or you can just go full, half, quarter. So pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back down to 1 so I don't blow out my screen. Okay, so from there, this is your main screen when it comes to just your white and your tungsten versus your daylight settings. So you can also, if you look down here, you have CCT. Right now it's set to 3200. So I can just tap the button right here that says 4000 and I'm going to get 4000, and tap to 5600, it's going to get 56. And if I wanted to go from there, there's a little plus button on the right side. You can tap that and it's going to go up in 50 in a level of 50 Kelvin each time you tap the button. So I'm going to go ahead and take it back to 3200. Like I said, I have it pretty low on the intensity, and we're going to go ahead and go to gels. So if you know anything about really gelling, you can have a tungsten bulb and then you add a blue gel to it. You can do eighth, quarter, half, full. You can do all of that by adding a CTB, or color temperature blue. And as you have a tungsten light, it kind of, honestly, this is kind of redundant since this is a full-on, completely a customizable light. But it is nice to know that if you needed to add a quarter CTB, that it's just right here, options, a fast option to do. So you can go through all of these with your CTB, going from tungsten, adding that color temperature blue to give it more of a white color. Option right here, if you had daylight and you wanted to do a tungsten, so you would add a color temperature orange, you know that you can run it like this. So you know, the same, everything the same, full CTO, without, 1/8, quarter, 1/2, 3/4, back to full. Pretty cool. Obviously in this, as with the other one, you can increase or decrease the intensity depending on what you need. Okay, next we're gonna go to color. This is a really cool part of the app itself too, is that you can do, obviously you can do your intensity. You can increase your intensity at any point with whatever color you decide that you want to go to. I'm gonna leave it at 1, that way we can hopefully still kind of see color. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go through here. I'm gonna go to, let's say I wanted to do green, or I wanted to do magenta, or maybe I wanted to do red or blue. Any color that you want to do. It's very responsive, and you can literally control it any color from the app itself. Now, one thing to mention about color wheels in general, and this app too, the farther away you are from the center, the more saturated it's going to be. So if you look at it, when I'm out here, it's completely saturated, 100% red. If I come more out here toward the center, it's going to desaturate it, and that's going to be the same with any color. Like I said already, intensity, you can increase intensity whenever. Next, let's go to effects. I do think this is really cool, that you can, it has just a multitude of effects. It's really, really neat. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with TV. This is a pretty cool effect. Now, one thing about this app and the TV stuff in general, you can change frequency, so you can make it run faster. So I'm gonna have this set up as at level 10, just so that we can see see it at its highest rating. Okay, now we're gonna have to take, some of these take a little bit of time, they're a slower effect, so I want to turn it up faster so that we can get the idea as fast as possible. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and start with TV. So I'm going to hit play. Now this is set to warmer, and what this is going to do, it's going to give you the effect of a TV flashing. Obviously, you know, like commercials or anything else, it goes brighter than dimmer, and that's going to give you that effect. Now you can go warmer, more of a natural look, or you can go a cooler look. Personally, the way I would light a scene, with most living room setups, the TV light is actually bluer than the room light, so I would set up a scene to be tungsten, and then I would have this cooler to get the correct light. Let's go ahead and go on to pulsing. Now pulsing, you can do CCT. I'm going to go ahead and hit play so you can get the idea of what it does. Let your imagination run wild with this. You can do up on frequency, so you can do frequency 10 to where it's going to pulse fast. You can also, well, first of all, you can do CCT all the way up. So you can take your tungsten or daylight, however you want it to be, whatever color you want. But you can also go into HSI, and it allows you to pick a color. And just like we did before, it's going to allow us to pick this color. It's going to ask you to confirm, and now I have that color. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to CCT just so that we have it. And I'm going to stop this effect. So now let's go to fire. I'm going to start fire. And like I said earlier, this is what I was using. This is the effect that I was using at the beginning of the video. Now you can do warmer, natural, or cooler with this, just like anything else. I believe I had it on natural when I was doing this at the very beginning, Just depends on how you're lighting the scene and what color temperature your other lights are. So that is fire. Next is cop car. I do think this is pretty fun. So you can do, let's go ahead and hit that. You can do flash. Right now this is only on red. So let's say I wanted it to be just blue. If you had multiples of these, you could have it where you had one on blue, one on red. This is going to do red and blue, and then you have the red and blue and white, and then you have the red, blue, and white option as well. So if you can imagine this effect, you could do it. Let's say you were hunting and you got pulled over, you could actually relive that or reenact that situation or that scenario later in the scene. Party light. Personally, I wouldn't use this one very often, but it is an option to go through. Again, you can increase saturation, you can increase the frequency, and you can increase the intensity. Alright, paparazzi. Turn up the frequency, lights, flashing, intensity. On this, you can go your tungsten to daylight, so you can go to 3200 all the way up to 65. Personally, most flashes are at least 5600 Kelvin, so I would have it up there to make it look correct. Let's go fireworks. So fireworks, you can turn this to where you have white fireworks where it's going off. You have a color. Like I said, I haven't used this, but you have color, and I'm assuming multi is probably white and color. That's my guess. So faulty bulb, if you're into doing maybe a horror flick or something along those lines, you could have this off and it's gonna give you a faulty, like a flashing bulb, like if it, say it was flashing in a hallway or whatever else. On this one you can do CCT or HSI where it's going to let you pick a color. So let's do I'm going to do super orange. Confirm, and that's going to give me that color. Cool. And then lightning, I think this is a good one. This would be a good, like I said, if you want to build a scene. I know during turkey season a lot we get a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of different things, and you could build a story around that. You know, you couldn't out the morning because, and you could really use this to build the story. And then we're back to TV. So that's pretty much all the functionality of the app. I'm going to go ahead and get back to the A-Cam, and we're going to go ahead and talk about a few more features on this light and then close up the video. Alright, you guys, so I went over some of the different uses that you could use as far as the effects go in the app and with this light, and a couple other things that you could do with this light. Obviously, if you wanted to take a video, if you had a recovery or whatever, you can put this on top of your camera and use it as an on-camera light. Light stands, you can use it for that. One thing I do a lot, I don't have one handy, but I'll take little small friction arms on a clamp, and I can put them to a twig or whatever in the tree while I'm in the tree stand, or you can attach it in the blind if you're doing an interview and you just need a little bit more light, or maybe you want a field light or something like that. You can take this along with you and use it for that. I've actually had that come in really handy during interviews out in the stand or in the blind, just using a little fill light. Obviously I usually will put this on it to diffuse the light, and it really helps. Hard versus soft light. Right now I'm going to go ahead and set this. I do talk about the app. You don't have to use the app. Sometimes it is faster just to run this straight off this dial, like right now. So I'm going from 3200. I'm going to go ahead and set this on 5600 Kelvin, and I'm going to put it all the way up to 100%, so I can show you guys at arm's length the difference between hard light and soft light. So if you look right now, I'm touching my key light. So this is my key light. I'm hitting it. You can probably see it flashing a little bit. Not flashing, but shaking. So I'm that close. What I'm running for a key light is a BOWADX SL60W. So it's a 60 watt. It's comparable to the Aputure 120D, which is a more popular key light that people use. So I'm going to have this up at arm's length also at 100%, so that you can see what this looks like hard, and then I'll put the diffuser on. You'll be able to see what it looks like when it's diffused. Okay, so this is going to be the hard light. So if you can see right now, it's kind of a hard light. Now, one thing to mention about lighting in general, the closer that a light is to you, obviously this is really intense, but you can expose for that, but the closer it is to you, the softer the light's going to be. Now, generally speaking, when you're doing a recovery interview or something like that, you're probably going to be 4 or 5 feet away. But just as an example, so you can see the difference, I'm going to go ahead and do this at arm's length. Now, like I said, both of these are arm's length, so you can tell with as far as brightness goes what I'm sitting at as far as a key light that would be used maybe in a situation like this, or versus, you know, bringing a key light with you to do interviews with. But hard light right here, you can kind of see how hard that is. You can see where the shadows are going to start hitting real hard. You can actually see in behind me the shadowing behind me on the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this diffuser on, this thick rubber diffuser, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. And what I'm going to do, I'm also going to have it set so that I can turn it off, and you can see the difference between this light and with and without. Okay, so first of all, that light in the back, it's still there because of how close I am, but you see how much like how less harsh that is. And then I'm going to go ahead, so this is the soft light, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off so you can see how much fill that's giving me, and that'll give you an idea of the brightness level on this light. Again, I am comparing this to the BOWADX SL60W. Anyway, this is just a super really good light. One thing I do want to talk about, I did talk about mounting this to your camera as an on-camera light. So why that's possible, I'll go ahead and go back to this right here. Why that's possible is because right here there's a 1/4-20 thread. You can see it, they have it attached, and so you can attach it to anything where it has a 1/4-20. So any mount that you can have that has a cold shoe mount going into a 1/4-20, you can put that on top and it will give you that on-camera light that we were talking about. So alright guys, just a couple more things to cover and then the video will be done. I wanted to go over power. So one, this thing can charge. If you see my wireless charger that I have my iPhone on, and you can see it in the video, it does work on wireless charging if you have that handy, whatever. Also, it is USB-C charging compatible, so if you plug it into anything USB-C that will give a charge, this will take it. One thing I do so that I have extra power, so what I'll do is I'll take this battery pack, and obviously there's a ton of battery packs that you can buy. You might want to just make sure that it fits before you buy it, but I'll put the battery pack and the cable in the back, and then on the front I will go ahead and put this in the diffuser, make sure it's nice and tucked away, and then this fits nice and handy inside, and I've got power and I have the light all in this pack ready to go. So this light will run for about 2 to 2.5 hours depending on the brightness level and what all you're running it through, but it'll run about 2.5 hours before dying, and then running that extra power bank gives me just more time. So it's really good for recovery. It's really good for in the stand if you're on an all-day hunt or something like that, where you want to have you know, freedom to be able to do what you want as far as lighting. If you wanted to light, like I already said, filling in for interviews or recoveries or whatever else, you could use it to help blood trail a deer. I personally like spot a little better. You can use this to when you're doing like if you're gutting a deer or whatever else, you can use it for that. Anything you need a light for, you can use this for. The benefit is that it has a ton of effects, so you can use it in a non-hunting scenario. If you wanted to build a story around your hunt or whatever else, you can use it for actual as a fill light, like I was doing kind of earlier, using that as a fill. Whatever reason that you have, you can use it for those things, but it's also handy in everything in the woods. It's small, compact, it'll fit in your bag really easy. You don't have to carry a bunch of batteries for it. It does attach to your camera really easily. There's just a lot of benefits. Now, I do want to cover the price really quick and then we'll be done with the video. I found B&H Photo has these for about $90, but they are back ordered until June the 2nd as of right now. And then Amazon, they're anywhere from $110 to $140 depending on which seller you buy from. Again, they're not easy to get a hold of because they're so popular. But I do believe a couple places have them available right now. Anyway, anywhere from $90 to $150 depending on where you're looking and what site you're using to buy them from. But well worth the money. It is an expensive light for being so small, but it's very powerful, very feature rich. So I want to do the video to answer some questions that people had asked about different lighting options in the woods, and also about recovery lights and using lights like this. It's gonna increase your production value exponentially, and for $100, I mean, there's no reason not to. So, all right, guys, take care. If you have any more questions, hit me up. I'd love to answer them for you. Love to do what I can to help you guys get better. Hit up my Instagram, I guess, at aaron.m.morgan. Take care.